Amani Hassan stood in the hallway of her luxury Seoul apartment, staring at the pink Chanel flats by her door. She knew those shoes. She'd been there when her best friend bought them, the same best friend who was currently upstairs with Amani's husband, laughing like they had every right to be there. What they didn't know was that the divorce papers were already in Amani's bag, unsigned but ready. Her best friend had just stolen a man Amani was already planning to throw away, and Amani was about to make sure everyone knew exactly who won this game. Before we keep going, I need you to do something for me. Hit that like button if you're already hooked, because this story is about to get wild. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The shoes by the door were pink. Blush pink Chanel flats, with the little gold chain across the top, size 230 millimeters. I knew, because I was there when Jia bought them. We'd been shopping in Cheongdam after a particularly brutal work week, and she'd tried on at least 20 pairs before landing on those. She'd laughed and said they made her feel like she could conquer the world. Now they were in my apartment, at 9:30 on a Tuesday night, next to my husband's Italian leather loafers. I stood in the hallway with my suitcase, key card still in my hand. The Paris trip had been cut short because the vendor meeting wrapped early. I'd been excited to come home, maybe talk to Kang Jun about finally moving forward with the divorce. The papers were in my bag, unsigned but ready. My lawyer had sent them last week. I heard laughing from upstairs. Her laugh, his laugh, the sound of wine glasses clinking. My hand went to the door handle, then stopped. I could walk in right now, scream, throw things, call them both every name I'd learned in Korean over the past 5 years, let the rage take over and burn everything down. Instead, I picked up my suitcase, walked back to the elevator, went down to the parking garage, and sat in my car. My hands shook as I gripped the steering wheel, not from sadness, from something else entirely, something cold and sharp that felt almost like relief. Because here's what Jia didn't know. Here's what nobody knew. I was already leaving him. The marriage had been dead for at least a year, maybe longer. His family never wanted me, never accepted me, never even tried to hide their disappointment that their golden son had married a black woman. The dinners where his mother spoke only Korean even though she was fluent in English. The way his aunts would touch my hair without asking. The comments about how unusual our children would look, as if I was supposed to be flattered. Kang Jun never defended me, not once. He'd just smile and say I was being too sensitive, that this was just how Korean families were, that I needed to give them time. 5 years. I gave them 5 years, and Jia, my best friend, the woman who'd held me while I cried about all of it, who'd told me I deserved better, who'd been my only real friend in this entire city, was upstairs in my house with my husband. I looked up at the building. The lights were on in our bedroom. I could see their shadows moving past the window. That's when I made the decision. I pulled out my phone and texted Kang Jun, "Flight delayed, won't be home until tomorrow afternoon. Don't wait up." 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, "Okay, be safe. Love you." I stared at those words. Love you. He was typing that while she was probably sitting on our bed. I took the divorce papers out of my bag, looked at them for a long moment. Then I put them back. Not yet. If Jia wanted my husband, she could have him, but not like this, not with me looking like the fool, the abandoned wife, the woman who lost both her husband and her best friend. I was going to control exactly how this ended. I checked into the Shilla Hotel that night, ordered room service, took a bath, slept better than I had in months. The next afternoon, I came home right on time. Kang Jun was in his study working. The apartment was spotless. No evidence, no pink shoes. "You're back," he said, getting up to hug me. "How was Paris?" "Productive," I said, letting him hold me. His cologne was different, or maybe I was just noticing everything differently now. "I missed you. I missed you too." He pulled back and looked at me. "You seem, I don't know, lighter somehow." I smiled. Maybe I'm just happy to be home. That evening, Jia called. I almost didn't answer. Then I did. "You're back." Her voice was bright, cheerful. "How was the trip? Tell me everything." I put her on speaker while I unpacked. It was good. Closed the deal with the fabric supplier. "Oh, and I saw this little cafe that reminded me of that place we went to in Hongdae. Remember? We talked for 30 minutes. She asked about Paris. I asked about her week. Normal best friend conversation. She didn't sound guilty. She sounded exactly like she always did. That was the first test. I passed. The board meeting was on Thursday. I walked in wearing a white silk blouse and black tailored pants. Hair pulled back, makeup perfect. My company, Noir Seoul, had been my baby for 3 years. We specialized in luxury fashion with African prints and Korean silhouettes. The combination had made us one of the most talked about brands in the city. "The numbers from last quarter are exceptional," Director Kim said, sliding the report across the table. "We're up 30% from this time last year. The collaboration with Galleria did well," I said, "and the pop-up in Gangnam exceeded projections. We've had interest from investors," Director Park added. "American investors. They want to expand Noir Seoul internationally." This was good news. Great news, even. But I saw the look that passed between the board members. "What is it?" I asked. Director Kim folded her hands. "They want to meet you and your husband. They're very interested in the— how do I say this? The cultural bridge your marriage represents. Korean and American. They think it's good branding. Of course they did. My marriage had always been part of my brand, whether I wanted it to be or not. The fashion director who married into one of Seoul's elite families. The love story that crossed cultures. That can be arranged," I said smoothly. I texted Kang Jun after the meeting. "Need you for a business dinner next week. Investors. Can you clear your schedule?" "Of course. Anything for you." I stared at that text. Anything for you. He'd been saying that a lot lately, being extra attentive. More compliments. More random gifts. Guilt, probably. Ji-ah and I met for lunch on Friday at our usual spot in Gangnam. She was already there when I arrived, scrolling through her phone. She looked up and waved, and for just a second, I saw something in her eyes. Something uncomfortable. "Good. I ordered you the salmon," she said. "And that lemon drink you like." "You're the best," I said, sitting down. "I swear this week has been insane." "Work stuff?" "Always." I took a sip of water, but also Kang Jun has been acting strange. I watched her face carefully. There, a tiny flinch. "Strange how?" she asked. "I don't know, just more attentive, like he keeps asking me how my day was and actually listening to the answer. He brought me flowers yesterday. No reason. Maybe he just missed you while you were in Paris," Jia said. "Maybe." I paused. Or maybe he feels guilty about something. The air between us went tight. Why would he feel guilty? Her voice was measured, careful. I shrugged. "I don't know. You know how marriage is. Sometimes you just get a feeling." The food arrived and we changed topics. She told me about a client who was being difficult. I told her about the investor dinner. Normal conversation. But underneath it all, I could feel the current. The thing we weren't saying. She knew that I knew, and I knew that she knew that I knew. We were both just performing now. That night, Kang Jun suggested we go out to dinner. Somewhere nice, just the two of us. "Is this about the flowers?" I teased. "Can't a man take his wife out without a reason?" We went to a Japanese restaurant in Cheongdam, one of those places where you needed a reservation 3 weeks in advance, and the chef knew your name. Kang Jun had connections. He ordered for both of us in Japanese, something he knew I found impressive even though I'd never admit it. We talked about safe things, his current project, a new building in Songdo, my upcoming fashion show, his parents, who were visiting Japan and would be back next month. "They want us to come to dinner when they return," he said. "Of course they do. Amani." He reached across the table and took my hand. "I know things have been difficult with them, but I really think they're trying." I looked at our hands, his skin against mine. 5 years ago, this had felt like everything. This beautiful man who chose me despite what we can have dinner with them. He smiled, relieved. You've been different lately. In a good way. More, I don't know, present? I'm working on myself, I said, which was true, just not in the way he thought. We finished dinner and he paid. And we walked back to the car with his arm around my waist. A photographer caught us outside the restaurant. We were used to it by now. Kang Jun's family was prominent enough that we occasionally ended up in society pages. Mr. Seo, Mrs. Seo, smile please, the photographer called out. We smiled. The flash went off. Another perfect picture of a perfect couple. In the car, Kang Jun's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and quickly turned it over. Work? I asked innocently. Yeah, just a client. Liar. When we got home, he suggested watching a movie. We sat on the couch and he pulled me close, and I let him. His hand traced patterns on my shoulder, and I focused on my breathing, on staying still, on not pulling away. I love you, he said during a quiet part of the movie. I love you too, I said back. The words came out smooth and easy, because they were just words now. They didn't mean anything. His phone buzzed again. This time, I saw the screen. Jia's name flashed for just a second before he declined the call. My heart rate didn't even spike. I just filed the information away. You sure you don't need to get that? I asked. It's nothing important. The movie ended, and we went upstairs. He wanted to be close, and I didn't say no. I played the part, touched him in all the familiar ways, let him touch me, closed my eyes and thought about anything else. The investor meeting, the new fabric shipment coming next week, whether I needed to update my resume even though I owned the company. Afterward, he fell asleep quickly. I lay there staring at the ceiling. My phone vibrated on the nightstand. A text from Jia. Sorry for calling so late. Need to talk when you have time. I typed back, tomorrow? Coffee? Perfect. 10 a.m. at the usual place? See you then. I turned off my phone and listened to Kang Jun breathe. Steady, deep, peaceful. He had no idea what was coming. Saturday morning, I woke up early, did my skincare routine, put on a casual outfit, jeans and a sweater. Natural makeup. I needed to look approachable, trustworthy. Gi was already at the coffee shop, sitting in our usual corner booth. She had dark circles under her eyes. You look tired, I said, sitting down. I haven't been sleeping well. What's wrong? I put my hand over hers. You know you can tell me anything. She looked at me for a long moment. I could see her struggling with something. The guilt was eating her alive. It's complicated, she finally said. Try me. I think, she paused. I think I have feelings for someone I shouldn't have feelings for. I kept my face neutral, concerned. Is he married? It's not, I mean. She pulled her hand back. I can't really talk about it. Jiasha, we've been friends for 3 years. You've seen me at my worst. Whatever this is, you can trust me. The irony was not lost on me. Have you ever wanted something even though you knew it would hurt people you care about? She asked. Of course. Everyone has. But what if you couldn't stop yourself? What if the wanting was stronger than the knowing better? I took a sip of my coffee. Then I guess you have to decide what you can live with. The guilt of wanting it or the regret of never having it. She looked surprised. That's very understanding of you. I'm a lot more understanding than people think. We sat in silence for a moment. She was waiting for me to push, to ask more questions. I didn't. How are things with Kang Jun? She asked instead. Good. Really good, actually. Yeah? We had dinner last night. Spent time together. It felt like old times. I watched her face fall. Just slightly, just enough. That's great, she said. I'm happy for you. Are you? Of course I am. You're my best friend. I smiled. And you're mine. We finished our coffee and she left first, claiming she had errands to run. I stayed behind and ordered another Americano, pulled out my laptop and answered emails. Normal Saturday morning. My phone rang. Kang Jun. Hey, where are you? Coffee shop. Working a bit. Why? I thought maybe we could do something today. Just us. This was new. Kang Jun usually spent Saturdays golfing with his friends or at his office. What did you have in mind? I don't know. Walk along the river? Get lunch? I just want to spend time with you. The guilt was really getting to him. Sure, I said. I'll be home in 20 minutes. We spent the day together, walked along the Han River, got street food from a vendor, took pictures. He posted one on his Instagram with the caption, "My favorite person." The comments rolled in immediately, heart emojis. You two are so beautiful together. Relationship goals. I wondered if Jia saw it. That evening, my lawyer called. Amani, I need to know if we're moving forward with the divorce proceedings. I have the papers ready, but I need your signature. I looked across the living room at Kang Jun, who was on his laptop, probably working. Can I call you back? I said quietly. Of course. But we should move soon if you want to. I hung up, and Kang Jun looked over. Everything okay? Just work stuff. He nodded and went back to his laptop. His phone buzzed. He looked at it, and his jaw tensed slightly. I need to make a call, he said, getting up. Work thing. He went into his study and closed the door. I walked quietly to the hallway. His voice was low, but I could make out some words. I can't. Not right now. I told you, this isn't a good time. We need to stop. Silence. Then, because I'm trying to fix my marriage. I walked back to the living room and sat down, picked up my own phone, opened my messages with Jia. Hey, want to get our nails done next week? I'm thinking that place in Apgujeong. She responded immediately. Yes. I need a distraction. Boy troubles? I typed back. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Something like that. Well, that's what wine and good company are for. Thursday work? Perfect. Kang Jun came back into the living room. He looked stressed. Want to talk about it? I asked. About what? Whatever's bothering you. He sat down next to me, ran his hands through his hair. It's just work, a difficult client. You sure that's all it is? He looked at me. Really looked at me. Why do you ask? Because you've been different lately. Distant, and then suddenly very present. It's confusing. I'm just trying to be a better husband. Why now? The question hung in the air. Because I realized I was taking you for granted, he said finally, and I don't want to lose you. I reached over and took his hand. You're not going to lose me. Not the way you think, anyway. He pulled me close, and we sat like that for a while. His heart was beating fast against my ear. Guilty conscience, probably. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Ms. Hassan, this is Park Soo-jin from Seoul Society blog. I'd love to set up an interview with you and your husband about your upcoming projects and your relationship. Our readers are very interested in your story. I showed the message to Kang Jun. Should I do it? I asked. If you want to. Could be good for business. It would be both of us. They want the couple angle. He hesitated for just a second, then nodded. Sure, let's do it. I typed back to Park Soo-jin. We'd be happy to. When would work best? The response came quickly. How about next Friday? We can do it at your apartment. Make it more intimate and personal. Perfect. Send over the details. Kang Jun looked at me. You're really okay with this? Why wouldn't I be? We're happily married, right? Right, of course. But his voice didn't sound certain. That night, I couldn't sleep. I got up and went to my office, the small room off our bedroom that I'd claimed as my own space. It was the only room in the apartment that felt entirely mine. I opened my laptop and started a new document, wrote down everything I knew. The timeline, the phone calls, the guilty looks, the changed behavior. Then I started planning. The investor dinner was in 1 week. The interview with Park Soo-jin in 2 weeks, Seoul Fashion Week in 6 weeks. I needed to control the narrative. Make sure that when this all came out, and it would come out, I was positioned exactly where I wanted to be. Not as the abandoned wife, not as the heartbroken friend, as the woman who rose above it all. My phone buzzed. 3 a.m. A text from Gia. Are you awake? Yeah, can't sleep. You? Same. Can I call you? I looked back at the bedroom. Kang Jun was asleep. Give me a minute. I went downstairs to the living room and called her back. Hey, she answered. Her voice was thick, like she'd been crying. What's wrong? I can't do this anymore. My heart started racing. Can't do what? I can't. She paused. I can't keep lying to you. This was it. She was going to confess. Right now, over the phone at 3 in the morning. I needed to stop her. It was too soon. Whatever it is, can it wait until we see each other? I don't want to have a serious conversation when we're both exhausted. But I need to tell you, and you will. I promise. But not like this. Let's meet tomorrow, okay? Just the two of us, somewhere private. She was quiet for a moment. Okay, tomorrow. Yeah. Get some sleep. Whatever this is, we'll figure it out together. You're such a good friend, she said softly. So are you, I lied. We hung up, and I sat in the dark living room. My hands were shaking now. She was breaking. The guilt was too much. She wanted to confess. Probably thought I'd forgive her, thought we could work through it together. She had no idea that I already knew, that I was 5 steps ahead, that her confession wouldn't bring us closer, it would just give me the evidence I needed. I went back upstairs. Kang Jun was still asleep. I slipped into bed next to him and stared at the ceiling until morning came. The sun rose over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. In a few hours, I'd meet Ji-ah. She'd tell me the truth, and I'd have to pretend my whole world was falling apart. When really, I'd been rebuilding it this entire time. I met Ji-ah at a small tea house in Bukchon, away from our usual spots in Gangnam. Somewhere quiet, where we wouldn't run into anyone we knew. She'd chosen the location, which told me she was serious about this conversation. She was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea she hadn't touched. Her eyes were red. I sat down across from her and waited. I slept with Kang Jun, she said. No build-up, no easing into it. Just the truth. Sharp and quick, like ripping off a bandage. I let my face do what it needed to do. Shock, confusion, pain. I'd practiced this in the mirror this morning. The key was to not overdo it. What? My voice came out small. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It started 6 months ago, and I tried to stop it. I really did. But she was crying now, words tumbling out fast. I fell in love with him, and I know that's not an excuse. I know I'm a terrible person. I know I broke every rule of friendship, but I couldn't help it, and I needed you to know, because I can't lie to you anymore. 6 months. They'd been doing this for 6 months. I stood up, sat back down, stood up again, let my hands shake. 6 months? I repeated. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I didn't know how. And then it just kept going, and I thought maybe it would just end on its own, but it didn't. And now I don't know what to do because I love you, and I love him, and I'm destroying everything. You love him, I said flatly. I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to sleep with my husband for 6 months? People at nearby tables were starting to look. Ji-ah noticed and lowered her voice. Can we go somewhere more private? No. I grabbed my bag. I need to go. I can't. I need to go. I left her there. Walked out of the tea house and down the street. Turned the corner and kept walking until I was sure she couldn't see me anymore. Then I stopped. Took a deep breath. Checked my reflection in a shop window. Perfect. I looked devastated. I took out my phone and called my lawyer. I need you to accelerate everything. I want the divorce papers ready to file by the end of the week. What happened? I have grounds now. Adultery. I'll get you proof. Amani, are you okay? I'm fine. Just get the papers ready. I hung up and texted Kang Jun. Coming home, we need to talk. Then I called my assistant. Clear my schedule for today. Something personal came up. Is everything all right? It will be. When I got home, Kang Jun was in the living room waiting. He looked nervous, which meant Ji-ah had already called him. Good. She told you, he said. I just looked at him. Amani, please, let me explain. Explain what exactly? Explain how you slept with my best friend? Explain how you looked me in the eye every day for 6 months while lying to me. It was a mistake, a huge mistake. It's over now. I ended it. I told her we couldn't do this anymore. When? Last week, when you were in Paris. That's why I've been trying so hard, why I've been more attentive. I realized what I was risking, and I couldn't lose you. I laughed. Actually laughed. You couldn't lose me? Kang Jun? You already lost me. No, please. We can work through this. We can go to counseling, we can figure this out. With my best friend? You had an affair with Jia. I know, and I'm sorry. I don't even know how it happened. How it happened? Did you trip and fall into her bed? He flinched. It started at that work event in May. We were both drinking, and you were in New York for that conference, and we started talking, and one thing led to another. One thing led to another for 6 months. I tried to end it multiple times, but she kept. She wanted more, and I didn't know how to stop without hurting her. Oh, you were worried about hurting her. How considerate. That came out wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not thinking straight. Amani, please. I love you. I want to make this work. I sat down on the couch, put my head in my hands. Let him see me break. I don't know if I can do this, I said quietly. He sat next to me, tried to touch my shoulder. I pulled away. Don't touch me right now. What do you need? Tell me what you need, and I'll do it. What I needed was for him to keep believing he had a chance. What I needed was time to position everything perfectly. I need space, I said. I need time to think. How much time? I don't know. A few days. A week. I need to process this. The investor dinner is on Wednesday. I looked up at him. You expect me to sit through a dinner and smile and pretend everything is fine? I know it's asking a lot, but this deal is important for your company. These investors could change everything for Noir Seoul. He was right. As much as I wanted to cancel, this dinner was crucial for my business, and my business was my exit strategy. Fine, I'll do the dinner. But we're sleeping in separate rooms until I figure out what I want to do. Relief flooded his face. Okay, yes, whatever you need. And I don't want to see Ji-ah. I don't want her calling me, texting me, showing up here. Nothing. I'll tell her. You'll tell her, I repeated. Like you two are still in contact. No, I just meant, if she reaches out, I'll tell her to give you space. I stood up. I'm going to my office. I have work to do. I left him in the living room and went upstairs, closed the door to my office and sat at my desk. My phone was already full of messages from Jia. I'm so sorry. Please talk to me. I hate myself. I never meant to hurt you. You're my best friend. Please. I deleted them all without responding. Then I opened my laptop and started making plans. The investor dinner was at a private restaurant in Gangnam, the kind of place that didn't have prices on the menu and required 3 references just to get a reservation. I wore a navy dress, elegant but not too flashy, diamond earrings Kang Jun had given me for our 2nd anniversary. Hair down in soft waves, makeup flawless. I looked like a woman who had everything together. Kang Jun picked me up from my office. We hadn't spoken much in the 2 days since the confession. He'd been staying in the guest room, being quiet, trying to be invisible. In the car, he looked at me. You look beautiful. Thank you. Can you do this? I turned to him. I'm a professional, Kang Jun. I can sit through one dinner. I know, thank you for doing this. The investors were already at the restaurant when we arrived. 2 men and 1 woman, all American, all wearing expensive casual clothes that somehow cost more than formal wear. Mr. and Mrs. Co, the older man, Robert, stood to shake our hands. "It's wonderful to finally meet you both in person." "The pleasure is ours," I said smoothly, smiling. We sat down, and the conversation flowed easily. They asked about Noir Seoul, about my vision for the brand, about the Korean fashion market. I answered confidently, passionately. This was my element. "And how do you two balance such demanding careers with marriage?" They asked. "It must be challenging." Kang Jun reached for my hand under the table. I let him take it. "We make it work," I said. "We support each other's dreams. June has been my biggest supporter since day one," I continued. "When I first pitched the idea for Noir Seoul, he believed in it before anyone else did." That part was true, actually, back when things were good. "That's beautiful," Catherine said. "You don't see that often, especially across cultural lines. How did your families react to the marriage?" I felt Kang Jun tense next to me. "They were supportive," I lied. "It was an adjustment, of course, blending cultures and traditions, but love bridges gaps." Robert nodded. "That's exactly what we love about your brand. It's about bridging cultures, bringing together different aesthetics, and creating something new." "That's always been my goal," I said. "Fashion is a universal language." The dinner continued. Wine was poured. Multiple courses arrived. Kang Jun and I played our parts perfectly. We laughed at the right moments, touched each other casually, told stories about our relationship that were 70% true. By the end of the night, the investors were sold. "We'd like to move forward," Robert said. "Our lawyers will draw up the contracts. This could be the beginning of something major, Amani." "I'm excited to work with you," I said. In the car afterward, Kang Jun was almost giddy. "That went perfectly. Did you see their faces when you talked about the expansion plans?" "They loved you. They loved us," I corrected. "The couple, the story. That's what they're investing in." He went quiet. "I know you're still angry," he said, "but tonight, it felt like old times, like when we first met, and everything was easy." "Nothing was ever easy, Kang Jun. You know what I mean." I looked out the window at the Seoul lights passing by. "Do you remember what you said to me when you proposed?" "I said a lot of things. You said you'd always choose me, that no matter what your family said, no matter what society said, you'd always choose me." I meant it. "Did you?" "Because, from where I'm sitting, you chose everyone but me. You chose your family's approval. You chose to stay silent when they disrespected me. You chose G.A. That's not fair, isn't it?" We pulled up to the apartment building. Neither of us moved to get out. "What do you want from me?" he asked. "Tell me how to fix this." "I don't know if you can." "So that's it? You've already decided?" I turned to look at him. "You had an affair with my best friend for 6 months. What did you think would happen?" "I thought maybe we could work through it. I thought our marriage meant something." "It did, past tense." I got out of the car and went inside without waiting for him. But here's the thing. I needed him to think there was still a chance. I needed him trying to win me back. Because the harder he tried, the more guilty he'd look when this all came out. So the next morning, I left a note on the kitchen counter. "Thank you for last night. You were right. It did feel like old times. I'm not ready to forgive you yet, but I'm willing to try counseling, if you are." When I got to the office, my assistant had a package waiting for me. "This came this morning, hand-delivered." I opened it. Inside was a flash drive and a note. "Miss Hassan, I thought you might find this interesting. A friend." I plugged the flash drive into my computer. It was photos. Lots of photos. Kang Jun and Jia at a hotel in Itaewon. Kang Jun and Jia having coffee. Kang Jun and Jia in his car. Timestamps on all of them, going back 6 months. Someone had been following them. Someone had documented everything. The question was, who? And why were they giving this to me? My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Ms. Hassan." This is Park Soo-jin from Seoul Society blog. Did you receive my package? My blood went cold. You sent this? I did. I've been investigating your husband and your friend for 3 months now. I have enough for a story that would destroy both of them. What do you want? I want the truth, an exclusive. You give me an interview, tell me your side of the story, and I'll publish it exactly how you want it told. And if I don't, then I publish what I have anyway, but you don't get to control the narrative. I sat back in my chair. This was a problem, but also maybe an opportunity. I need time to think about this. You have 24 hours. After that, I'm running the story with or without you. She hung up. I stared at the photos on my screen. This changed everything. If Park Soo-jin published this story now, I'd lose control of the entire situation. I'd be the victim, the scorned wife. Exactly what I didn't want. Unless I got ahead of it, I called my lawyer. I need those divorce papers today, not next week, today. I can have them ready by this afternoon. Good. And I need you to draft a statement. Something about choosing to separate amicably, about mutual respect, about wanting privacy during this difficult time. Amani, what's happening? I'm taking control. Next, I called Kang Jun. Can you come to my office now? I'm in a meeting. Cancel it. This is important. He arrived 30 minutes later, looking worried. What's wrong? I showed him the photos. The color drained from his face. Where did you get these? A reporter sent them to me. She's publishing the story tomorrow unless we get ahead of it. Oh God. My family. They can't. This will destroy them. This will destroy you. I corrected. Your family will be embarrassed. There's a difference. What do? We announce our separation. Today, we control the narrative. We say it's mutual, amicable, that we've grown apart but remain respectful of each other. You want to separate? Kang Jun, a reporter has photos of you and Ji-ah. This is happening whether we control it or not. At least this way, we look mature about it. He sat down hard in the chair across from my desk. I ruined everything, didn't it? Yes, you did. I'm sorry. For all of it. You deserved so much better. It was the first genuine thing he'd said since this started. Yes, I did. My assistant knocked on the door. Sorry to interrupt, but you have a visitor. She says it's urgent. Who? Yoon Ji-ah. Of course. Send her in. Ji-ah walked in and stopped when she saw Kang Jun. She looked terrible. Dark circles, no makeup, hair pulled back messily. I heard there's a reporter, she said. Someone's been following us. There is, I confirmed. She has photos. Lots of them. Oh God. Ji-ah sat down. What are we going to do? We? I looked at her. There is no we, Ji-ah. You made sure of that. I know. I know I don't have the right to ask anything from you, but please, this will destroy my career. I work in public relations. If this gets out, you should have thought about that before sleeping with my husband. Amani, please. What do you want me to do? The reporter is publishing the story regardless. Kang Jun spoke up. Amani wants to announce our separation. Get ahead of the story. Ji-ah looked at me. You're leaving him? I was always leaving him. You just sped up the timeline. The look on her face was complex. Relief mixed with guilt, mixed with something else. Hurt, maybe. Like even though she'd betrayed me, she was surprised I was actually walking away. So that's it? Ji-ah said. 5 years of marriage and you're just done? The marriage was done long before you came into the picture. You were just the final push. Real quick, if you're loving this drama, drop a comment and tell me whose side you're on. And stick around, because this story is about to get even messier. I don't believe you, Ji-ah said. I think you're hurt and angry, and you're making a rash decision. Believe whatever you want. You're my best friend. We can work through this. I stood up. No, we can't. Best friends don't sleep with each other's husbands. Best friends don't lie for 6 months. Best friends don't destroy each other. I made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. This was a choice. Multiple choices. Every single time you were with him, you chose to betray me. Tears were running down her face now. I love him. Then you can have him. I'm done with both of you. I turned to Kang-jun. My lawyer will send over the separation paperwork. You can have your attorney review it. I'm being more than fair in the division of assets. What about the reporters? He asked. I'll handle Park Soo-jin. You just need to agree to the statement and stay quiet. Can you do that? He nodded. And you, I looked at Jia. Stay away from me. Don't call. Don't text. Don't show up at my office or my apartment. We're done. Amani. Leave, both of you. I have work to do. They left together, which was fitting. I sat back down at my desk and called Park Soo-jin. I'll give you your interview, but on my terms. I'm listening. We do it tomorrow. At my apartment, you get 1 hour and you publish exactly what I say. No edits that change my meaning. Deal. What changed your mind? I'd rather tell my own story than have you tell it for me. That afternoon, I met with my lawyer and signed the separation papers. Not divorce yet, just separation. I needed to do this in stages. Are you sure about this? He asked. I've never been more sure of anything. What about your visa? I'm applying for permanent residency based on my business contributions. I've been eligible for a year, I just never filed because of the marriage. Time to change that. Smart. I went home and started packing Kang-jun's things. Clothes, toiletries, his books from the study. Everything went into suitcases. He came home around 8. What are you doing? Packing your things. You can stay at a hotel or with your parents while we figure out longer-term arrangements. You're kicking me out? It's my apartment. Kang-jun. I bought it before we got married. That was true. The apartment was in my name only. One of the few smart things I'd done. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. He looked around at the half-packed suitcases. This is really happening. Yes. Can I ask you something? What? Did you ever really love me? Or was I just part of your plan to make it in Seoul? I stopped packing and looked at him. I loved you. Very much. For a long time. Until I didn't anymore. When did you stop? Probably around the 10th time your mother insulted me, and you said nothing. Or maybe the 20th. I lost count. I was trying to keep the peace. You were choosing the easy road. There's a difference. I'm sorry. For all of it. Me too. He grabbed a few of the suitcases and headed toward the door. The interview with Park Soo-jin is tomorrow at 2, I said. Be here at 1:30. We're doing this together. Okay. After he left, I sat in the quiet apartment. My phone buzzed. A message from Jia. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know something. I never meant to fall in love with him, and I never wanted to hurt you. You were the best friend I ever had. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. If I was really your best friend, you wouldn't have been able to do what you did. Don't contact me again. I blocked her number. That night I barely slept. Tomorrow was the interview. Tomorrow, the story became public. Tomorrow, my perfect life in Seoul would officially end. But I'd be the one ending it. On my terms, my way. The next morning, I got ready carefully. Chose a cream-colored sweater and black pants. Simple, elegant. Not trying too hard, but not like I'd given up. Hair and makeup natural. I needed to look like a woman who was sad but strong. Hurt but surviving. Park Soo-jin arrived exactly at 2 with a photographer and a recording device. Thank you for doing this, she said. Let's just get it done. Kang-jun was sitting on the couch looking uncomfortable. The photographer took a few shots of us together, not touching. The distance between us was obvious. So, Park Soo-jin began, you're separating. We are, I confirmed. Can you tell me what led to this decision? I took a breath. Our marriage has been struggling for a while. We tried to make it work, but ultimately we realized we want different things. We're choosing to separate amicably and with mutual respect. There are rumors about an affair. Kang-jun tensed. I'm not going to comment on rumors, I said calmly. What I will say is that Kang Jun and I are both human. We both made mistakes in this marriage. We're choosing to end things before any more damage is done. Very diplomatic. What about your business? Will this affect Noir Soul? Absolutely not. Noir Soul is my company. I built it, and I'll continue building it. If anything, this gives me more time and energy to focus on what I'm passionate about. And what about you, Mr. Seo? What led to this from your perspective? Kang Jun cleared his throat. Amani is an incredible woman. I failed to appreciate that. I take full responsibility for my actions that led to this separation. I respect her decision, and I wish her nothing but the best. It was a good answer, vague but apologetic. Park Soo-jin asked a few more questions about our relationship timeline, about whether reconciliation was possible, about how we planned to divide assets. I answered everything carefully, gave her enough to write a story, but not enough to make it scandalous. After an hour, she packed up her equipment. This will run tomorrow morning. I'll send you a draft before it publishes. Thank you. After she left, Kang Jun and I sat in silence. You handled that well, he said. I've had practice performing. Is that all our marriage was to you? A performance? Toward the end? Yes. That's sad. Yes, it is. He stood up to leave. Kang Jun? Yeah? For what it's worth, I hope you figure out what you actually want. Not what your family wants. Not what you think you should want. What you really want. I wanted you. No, you wanted the idea of me. The successful Black American wife who made you look progressive and interesting. You never actually wanted to do the hard work of being married to me. He didn't argue, just nodded and left. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat by the window looking out at Seoul, this city that had been my home for 5 years, this city where I'd built a business and a life, this city that never quite felt like it accepted me. My phone rang. My mother. Hi, Mom. Baby? What's happening? Your sister sent me an article about you and Kang Jun separating. It's true. We're separating. Oh, honey. Are you okay? I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine. I'm free. What happened? He cheated. With my best friend. That bastard. You want me to come to Korea? I can be on a plane tomorrow. No, I'm okay. Really. I've been planning this for a while. You were planning to leave him. Yeah, the affair just accelerated things. How are you so calm about this? I smiled. Because I'm in control. Mom, for the first time in years, I'm completely in control of my own life. That's my girl. So what happens now? Now I rebuild. On my terms. We talked for a while longer. She told me about home, about my sister's new job, about the neighbors, normal life things that felt grounding. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and looked at my calendar. Seoul Fashion Week was in 5 weeks, my biggest show of the year. I'd planned to unveil a new collection there, something bold and different, a fusion of traditional Korean hanbok silhouettes with West African prints. Now it would be more than just a collection. It would be my statement, my reclamation. I started sketching, new ideas flowing fast, designs that felt powerful and unapologetic. My phone buzzed. An email from Park Soo-jin with the article draft. I read through it carefully. She'd been fair. Portrayed us both as mature adults making a difficult decision. Mentioned the affair rumors but didn't confirm them. Made me look dignified. I approved it. The article would run tomorrow, and by tomorrow afternoon, everyone in Seoul would know. Everyone in my industry. Everyone in Kang Jun's family. Everyone. But I'd controlled the narrative. I'd told my story first. I finished my wine and went to bed. Tomorrow would be chaos, but I was ready for it, because here's what Jia didn't understand when she confessed. Here's what Kang Jun didn't understand when he had the affair. They didn't break me. They freed me. And I was about to show them exactly what a free woman could do. The article dropped at 6 in the morning. By 6:30, my phone was exploding. Messages from colleagues, from clients, from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Everyone had an opinion about my separation. Some were supportive. You deserve better. So proud of you for choosing yourself. Others were nosy. What really happened? Was it another woman? I ignored most of them. Got dressed, went to the office early. My team was already waiting when I arrived. We've prepared a social media statement, my PR director said. Unless you want to handle it differently, let me see it. She handed me her tablet. The statement was perfect. Professional, brief, ask for privacy. Post it, I said, and monitor reactions. If anything gets too negative or invasive, we address it immediately. Got it. I spent the morning in back-to-back meetings, checking on the production schedule for Fashion Week, reviewing fabric samples, approving final designs. Work kept me focused. Around noon, my assistant knocked on my door. Kang Jun's mother is here. Of course she was. Send her in. Mrs. Seo walked into my office wearing a Chanel suit and disappointment. She sat down without being invited. This is a disaster, she said in Korean. Hello to you too, I replied in English. She switched languages. You're humiliating this family. I'm humiliating the family? Your son had an affair. That wouldn't have happened if you'd been a proper wife. There it was. Always my fault somehow. A proper wife. I repeated. You mean Korean. You mean someone who would bow to your every whim and never question anything. I mean someone who understood our culture. I understood it perfectly. That was the problem. She stood up. I came here to ask you to reconsider this separation, for the sake of the family reputation. No. Excuse me? I said no. I'm not staying in a dead marriage to protect your reputation. Your son made his choices. I'm making mine. You'll regret this. Without our family, you're nothing in this city. I smiled. Want to test that theory? She left without another word. I went back to my fabric samples. That afternoon, I got a call from Robert, one of the American investors. Amani, I saw the news. Are you all right? I'm fine. This won't affect the business. Actually, that's why I'm calling. Catherine and I talked. We think this makes you even more marketable. I'm sorry, what? Think about it. Successful woman, building her empire, refusing to let personal drama slow her down. It's a powerful story. Our focus groups would eat this up. You're saying my divorce is good for business? Your strength is good for business. We'd like to move the timeline up. Get the contract signed next week. Next week? Strike while the iron is hot. You're trending on Korean social media. Your brand recognition just tripled. Let's capitalize on it. After he hung up, I sat back in my chair. My marriage was ending, and somehow my business was thriving. Life was strange. My phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. Hello? Ms. Hassan. This is Noah Chen. We met briefly at the business dinner last month. I work with Kang Jun's firm. I remembered. Tall, British accent, kind eyes. I remember. What can I do for you? I heard about the separation. I wanted to reach out, not as a colleague of your husband's, but as someone who, well, I saw you. Saw me. That night in the parking garage. About 3 weeks ago. You were sitting in your car, looking at something in your bag. You looked like you were preparing for battle. My breath caught. You saw that? I did. I almost knocked on your window to check if you were okay, but something told me you needed that moment alone. Why are you telling me this? Because I've been watching you since then, not in a creepy way. He added quickly, just, you've been performing, playing a role, and I wondered why. Maybe I'm just a good actress. Maybe. Or maybe you were already 3 steps ahead of everyone else. I didn't know what to say to that. Anyway, he continued, I'm calling because I'm working on a project that could use your expertise, a cultural center in Itaewon. We want to celebrate diverse communities in Seoul. I thought of you immediately. When do you need an answer? Take your time. But maybe we could meet for coffee? Discuss it properly? I don't think meeting my husband's colleague for coffee is appropriate right now. I resigned from his firm yesterday. different visions for a project. So technically, I'm not his colleague anymore. Convenient timing. Honest timing. So, coffee? I thought about it. Okay, tomorrow, 10 a.m. There's a place in Samcheong called Arte. I'll be there. After we hung up, I realized I was smiling, actually smiling for the first time in days. That evening, I went home to my empty apartment. No Kang Jun. No evidence he'd ever lived here except for some pictures I needed to take down. I poured wine and started removing photos from frames. Our wedding day. Trips to Jeju. Family dinners. 5 years of documented lies. My phone rang. Ji-ah. She was calling from a different number since I'd blocked her original one. I almost didn't answer. Then I did. What? Please don't hang up. I just need 1 minute. You have 30 seconds. I'm leaving Seoul, moving back to Busan. My company fired me. Apparently having an affair with a client's family member is bad for business. Apparently. I know you don't care, but I needed you to know that I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Not for getting caught. Sorry for doing it in the first place. Are you and Kang Jun together now? She laughed bitterly. No. He blamed me for everything. Said I seduced him, that I ruined his marriage. Like he wasn't a willing participant. Sounds like him. You were right about everything. About his family, about how he never stood up for you. About all of it. I just couldn't see it until I was on the receiving end. Is that why you called? For me to feel sorry for you? No. I called to tell you that you're better off without both of us, and that I hope you find someone who actually deserves you. Goodbye, Ji-ah. I hung up and blocked the new number too. The next morning, I met Noah at the cafe. He was already there, reading a book. He looked up when I walked in and smiled. You came. I'm curious about the project. We ordered coffee, and he pulled out a tablet with designs. The Cultural Center will focus on international communities in Seoul, African diaspora, Southeast Asian, Middle Eastern, everyone. A place that celebrates diversity instead of just tolerating it. I looked through the designs. They were beautiful, modern but warm, inclusive. This is ambitious. Seoul is changing. Slowly, but it's changing. I want to be part of that change. Why? Because I'm tired of being the only one in rooms, tired of the stares, tired of being treated like a curiosity instead of a person. I looked up at him. You get it. I do. And I think you do too. We talked for 2 hours. About the project. About Seoul. About being foreign in a place that never quite felt like home, no matter how long you stayed. Can I ask you something personal? He said. You can ask. Why did you stay in the marriage as long as you did? Honestly, fear. Fear of starting over. Fear of admitting I'd made a mistake. Fear of losing my business and my visa and everything I'd built. And now? Now I realize I'm stronger than my fear. He smiled. I can see that. So when do you need my answer about the project? Whenever you're ready, but I hope you say yes. I think we could do something really special together. Let me think about it. We exchanged numbers, and I left feeling lighter than I had in months. There was something easy about Noah. No performance needed, no pretending. The next few weeks blurred together. Contract negotiations with the American investors, finalizing designs for Fashion Week, moving Kang Jun's last items out of the apartment, signing official divorce papers. Yes, we'd upgraded from separation to divorce. Once the investors signed and my permanent residency application was approved, I didn't need the marriage anymore. Kang Jun tried to fight it at first, wanted counseling, wanted another chance, but his heart wasn't in it. He was just going through the motions, because that's what he thought he should do. We met one last time to sign the papers. At a lawyer's office in Gangnam, very civilized, very mature. I really did love you, he said afterward. I know, you just loved yourself more. That's harsh. It's honest. He left and I felt nothing. No sadness, no relief, just nothing. The marriage had been over so long that the legal ending was just paperwork. I threw myself into work. The Fashion Week show was in 2 weeks, and I wanted it to be perfect. Every detail mattered. This wasn't just a collection. This was my statement. Noah and I had been meeting regularly about the Cultural Center project. I'd agreed to consult on the design. Our meetings usually turned into long conversations about everything except work. "You're different than you were at that dinner," he said. One afternoon, we were at my office reviewing color palettes. "Different how?" "More relaxed. More yourself." "Maybe I'm just good at hiding. Or maybe you don't have to hide anymore." He held my gaze a beat too long. There was something there. Something that made my stomach flip. "Noah, I know. Too soon. You just got divorced. But I need you to know that I see you. The real you. And I like what I see. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm not asking you to be ready. I'm just being honest about where I stand." The week before the show, chaos erupted. My lead model got sick. A fabric shipment was delayed. The venue had a plumbing issue. Everything that could go wrong did. "We can push the show back," my assistant suggested. "Absolutely not. We fix this. All of it." We found a replacement model, expedited the fabric shipment, moved to a backup venue. I barely slept for 3 days straight. Noah showed up at my office at midnight on Thursday with coffee and snacks. "Your assistant told me you've been here for 16 hours. Fashion Week waits for no one. Take a break. Just 10 minutes." We sat on the floor of my office, eating convenience store kimbap and drinking terrible coffee. "Why does this show matter so much?" he asked. "Because it's my proof." "Proof of what?" "That I can build something here. That I belong here. That I don't need a Korean husband or family connections or anyone's approval. Just my talent and my vision. You've already proven that. Not publicly. Not like this." He bumped my shoulder with his. "You're going to kill it. You know that, right?" "I hope so. I know so. I've seen the designs. They're incredible." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. "Can I take you to dinner after the show?" he asked. "Celebrate properly?" "Are you asking me on a date?" "I'm asking if you'd let me buy you food." "Whether it's a date is up to you." I smiled. "Okay. Yes, food sounds good." The morning of Fashion Week, I woke up at 5, got ready carefully. This was my day. I wore one of my own designs, a dress that combined traditional Korean pojagi patchwork with kente cloth patterns. Bold, unapologetic, perfectly me. The venue was packed. Every major fashion editor in Seoul, influencers, celebrities, and yes, some people who probably just came to see the recently divorced designer either triumph or fail. I saw Kang Joon in the crowd. He'd come with his parents. Our eyes met briefly. He nodded. I looked away. 2 rows behind him, I saw Ji-ah. She'd come back from Busan, apparently. She looked sad, but she smiled at me. I didn't smile back. Then I saw Noah, front row. He gave me a thumbs up, and I felt my nerves settle. The lights dimmed. The music started. My collection came to life. Models walked the runway wearing my vision. Korea meets Africa. Tradition meets innovation. East meets West. Every piece told a story about bridging worlds, about belonging to multiple places at once, about creating your own identity. The audience was silent. Then they started clapping. Then they stood up. A standing ovation. I walked onto the runway for my final bow, and the noise was deafening. Cameras flashed. People cheered. I'd done it. Backstage was chaos. Editors wanting interviews. Buyers placing orders. Influencers asking for photos. My team was overwhelmed in the best possible way. "Amani," my PR director, grabbed my arm. "Vogue Korea wants to do a feature. Harper's Bazaar wants an interview. And 3 department stores want to carry the collection. Set it all up." I did quick interviews, smiled for photos, thanked everyone who'd helped make the show possible. Then I saw her, Park Soo-jin, the reporter who'd broken my separation story. "That was incredible," she said. Can I get a quote? Sure. What inspired this collection? I thought about it. The experience of being multiple things at once, of not fitting into neat categories, of making your own space when the world doesn't offer you one. Beautiful. And personally, how are you doing post-divorce? Thriving. Turns out losing what wasn't serving me made room for what will. She smiled. That's a great quote. After all the chaos calmed down, I found Noah waiting by the exit. Ready for that dinner? He asked. Starving. We went to a small restaurant in Itaewon. Nothing fancy, just good food and quiet conversation. How does it feel? He asked. Surreal. Like I'm waiting for something to go wrong. Nothing's going to go wrong. You earned this. I know. I spent so long fighting to prove myself that I forgot what it feels like to just exist without defending my right to be here. Maybe that's the next chapter, existing without apologizing. We ate and talked and laughed. Real laughs, not performative ones. Can I tell you something? I said. Anything. That night in the parking garage when you saw me, I just found out about the affair. I was deciding whether to confront them or plan my exit. You chose the exit. I chose control. I was so tired of things happening to me. I wanted to make things happen. How's that working out? I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who saw me. Who didn't need me to be anything other than what I was. Pretty well, actually. He reached across the table and took my hand. I know this is new. I know you're figuring things out, but I want you to know I'm not going anywhere. Whenever you're ready, whatever that looks like, I'm here. That's a big promise. I don't make promises I can't keep. We finished dinner, and he walked me to my car. The Seoul night was cool and clear. Thank you, I said, for tonight, for everything. Thank you for letting me be part of your story. He kissed my cheek, gentle, sweet, full of promise. I drove home feeling something I hadn't felt in years, hope. The next morning, I woke up to my phone exploding again. But this time it was good news. The fashion show was trending. My collection was being called groundbreaking. Orders were pouring in. Noir Seoul was officially a major player in Korean fashion. I made coffee and sat by my window looking out at the city. Seoul. This complicated, beautiful, frustrating city that I'd built a life in. My phone rang. My mom. Baby, I saw the videos online. That show was incredible. Thanks, Mom. I'm so proud of you. Look at you, thriving after everything. I'm trying. You're doing more than trying. You're succeeding. And you're doing it on your own terms. We talked for a while. About the show, about the divorce being final, about Noah. He sounds nice, she said. He is. It's early, though. I'm not rushing into anything. Good. Take your time. Figure out what you want. After we hung up, I opened my laptop. I had emails from buyers, interview requests, collaboration offers. My business was exploding. But more than that, I had freedom, real freedom. Not just from the marriage, but from the need to prove myself to people who would never accept me anyway. I'd spent 5 years trying to fit into spaces that weren't built for me. Now I was building my own spaces. My phone buzzed. A text from Noah. Coffee later? Or are you too famous for me now? I smiled and typed back. Never too famous for coffee. Same place? See you at 3. I got ready and went to my office. My team greeted me with flowers and champagne. To Amani, my creative director said, raising her glass, who just changed Korean fashion forever. We celebrated, reviewed orders, planned production schedules. This was really happening. Around 2:30, my assistant knocked on my door. You have a visitor. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's important. Who? Gia. I almost said no. Then curiosity got the better of me. Send her in. Gia walked in looking nervous. She'd lost weight, had dark circles under her eyes. I know I shouldn't be here, she started. Then why are you? Because I saw your show last night. I was in the back. I don't think you saw me. I saw you. It was beautiful, Amani. Everything you created was it was you, the real you, and I realized I never really knew that person. What do you want, Gia? Nothing. I don't want anything. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry, really sorry, and that I'm glad you're thriving. You deserve it. Okay, okay. I accept your apology. It doesn't mean we're friends again. It doesn't mean I forgive you. But I accept that you're sorry. She nodded. That's fair. That's more than fair. Is that all? Yeah. I needed you to know, for my own peace of mind. After she left, I sat with the feeling. I wasn't angry anymore, wasn't hurt, just neutral. She was part of my past. A chapter that closed. I grabbed my bag and headed to meet Noah. He was already at the cafe, same table as before. He stood when he saw me. The woman of the hour, he said. Stop. Never. You earned this. Own it. We ordered coffee and talked about the show, about the reviews, about what came next. I have something to tell you, he said. Sounds serious. The Cultural Center project got approved. Full funding. We break ground next month. Noah, that's amazing, and I want you to be the creative director, not just a consultant. Full creative control over the interior design and the fashion gallery. Are you serious? Completely. This project needs you. I need you. I looked at him. This opportunity, this man, this life I was building. Yes, I'm in. He smiled so wide. Yeah? Yeah. Let's build something beautiful. We spent the rest of the afternoon planning, dreaming, imagining what we could create together. When we finally left the cafe, the sun was setting over Seoul. The city was bathed in golden light. Noah walked me to my car again. Can I ask you something? I said. Always. That night you saw me in the parking garage. Why didn't you knock on my window? Because you looked like a woman who knew exactly what she was doing, and I wanted to see what would happen when you did it. And? And I was right. You did exactly what you needed to do. You took control. You rebuilt. You won. We both won, I said. I got my freedom. My business is thriving, and I met you. Is that a good thing? Meeting me? Instead of answering with words, I kissed him. Right there on the street in Samcheong. A real kiss. Not performative, not for show, just honest. When we pulled apart, he was smiling. I'll take that as a yes. Definitely a yes. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in years. My phone buzzed with more messages. More interview requests, more opportunities. But I didn't check them right away. I just drove through Seoul, my city, the place where I'd lost myself and found myself again. 3 months later, I was standing at the opening of the Cultural Center. It was beautiful. Everything Noah and I had envisioned and more. There were galleries celebrating African art, Asian fusion, Middle Eastern design, spaces for community events, studios for artists, a fashion wing featuring emerging designers from diverse backgrounds, and in the center, a quote on the wall that I'd chosen. Belonging isn't about fitting in, it's about making space for yourself and others. Noah found me standing in front of it. Good choice, he said, wrapping his arms around me from behind. I thought so. The opening was packed. Artists, designers, community members, people who'd felt invisible in Seoul, finally had a space that celebrated them. I saw some familiar faces in the crowd, colleagues from my company, editors who'd covered my Fashion Week show, even some of Kang Jun's old associates. No sign of Kang Jun himself. Last I heard, he was dating someone new, someone Korean, someone his family approved of. I wished him well, genuinely. No sign of Jia either. She'd moved to Busan permanently. Started working for a small PR firm there. We weren't friends, but we weren't enemies. Just two people whose paths had diverged. Speech time, Noah whispered. I walked to the small stage they'd set up, took the microphone, looked out at all these faces. Thank you all for being here. I started. This center represents something I wish had existed when I first moved to Seoul 5 years ago. A place where being different isn't just tolerated, it's celebrated. Where you don't have to choose between your cultures, you can embrace all of them. I paused. I spent a long time trying to fit into boxes that weren't built for me, trying to be acceptable, trying to earn belonging. But I learned something important. You can't earn what should be freely given. So instead of asking for space, we built our own, and now we're inviting everyone in. The crowd applauded. I stepped off the stage, and Noah was right there. "Perfect," he said. "We make a good team. The best team." We spent the rest of the evening celebrating, dancing, laughing, building community. Later that night, Noah and I stood on the rooftop of the center looking out at Seoul. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked. "Coming to Seoul? Everything that happened?" Not for a second. The hard parts made me who I am, and who I am is someone I actually like now. I like who you are too. Good. Because you're stuck with me, business partners and all. Just business partners? I turned to face him. What else would we be? He pulled me close. "Whatever you want us to be. I'm in no rush. We've got time." Time sounds good. We stood there in the Seoul night. The city lights spread out below us like stars. This place that had challenged me, changed me, made me stronger. My phone buzzed. An email from Vogue Korea. They wanted to do a feature on me, the woman who redefined Seoul fashion. I showed Noah. "You going to do it?" "Yeah, but on my terms. I want to talk about the hard stuff, the racism, the isolation, the struggle, not just the success story. That's brave. That's honest. I'm done performing. From now on, it's just the truth." He kissed my forehead. "I love that about you." We stayed on the rooftop until late, planning our next project, dreaming about the future, being present in the moment. Because here's what I learned through everything, through the failed marriage, through the betrayal, through the rebuilding. Sometimes what looks like loss is actually freedom. Sometimes people stealing from you are actually giving you back yourself. Sometimes the ending you didn't choose becomes the beginning you needed. Gia thought she stole my husband, but really, she gave me my life back. And I was just getting started. 6 months after the Cultural Center opening, Noir Seoul expanded to 3 new locations. Noah and I were working on a second community project, and we were officially together, taking it slow but steady. Life wasn't perfect. I still dealt with microaggressions, still felt like an outsider sometimes, still had days where Seoul felt impossibly hard. But I also had my business, my freedom, my voice, and people who actually saw me. That was more than enough. If Amani's journey inspired you, moved you, or just entertained you for a while, make sure you're subscribed because I've got more stories coming that you won't want to miss. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me what you thought, and I'll see you in the next one.